Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for joining us today. I have with me Dr. Imtiaz Khan from Srinagar, which is the capital of Kashmir. He's also the president of Kashmiri American Council, and he's a professor of microbiology at George Washington University in D.C. And with me also, I have Dr. Ghulam Nabi Fai, who's the Secretary General of World Kashmir Awareness Forum, and he's a very well-known Kashmiri activist here in the U.S. So today, we're very much honored to have both of them here with us in this video so they can enlighten us of what is happening in Kashmir and what we as Muslims can do about it. So first of all, thank you for joining us, both of you, for coming here. My first question is, what is the current situation in Kashmir right now?
Well, it happened a few weeks ago. The news came that India is pouring thousands of new additional forces in Kashmir. And people did panic, but the governor, who is the currently the center or ruler of Jammu and Kashmir, he said that he poo-pooed the idea. He said that it is a routine change of troops and nothing is going on. And we have some intelligence reports that there are going to be terrorist activities, in his own words, against the pilgrims who are attending Amarnath and against some non-Kashmiris. And what happened was that they sorted all the Hindu population and all those pilgrims were taken out of the valley. And till the end, the Kashmiris were kept in dark. And after a week or so, they imposed strict curfew restrictions. Right now, there is no television, there is no telephone, landline, or the cellular connections. There's nothing. Kashmir is sort of a cage. There's no communication. Even from one locality, another locality, people are not knowing what's going on. How many people have been killed? There are reports that the demonstrations are going on and few people have been killed. But actually, what is going on? Nothing is coming out. And you can imagine in a situation when there are so many people who are on life-saving drugs, like the people who are diabetic, who need dialysis, or other serious illnesses, they don't have access to the medical care. And how many of those people must possibly, God forbid, will have succumbed to these diseases? We don't know about that. What India is doing, that there's a wall with Kashmir and rest of the world. So we are worried. I have a sister there whom I have no communication with her. And last I spoke to her was about a few days ago. Since then, I don't know whether she's okay, how many people have been died, and what are these Indian forces doing with these people.
Okay. So the next question then is, we all have been hearing about this Article 370 and 35A. So what are the legal implications of the abrogation of these two articles from the Indian government?
See, you mentioned about Article 370 and Article 35A, it is of the Indian Constitution. First of all, as you know that there could be many articles within the Indian Constitution, for that matter even in the Pakistani Constitution. So that does not need the nature of the Kashmir as a dispute. Because Kashmir is dispute because not we as Kashmiri Americans are saying so. Kashmir is dispute because we have the sanctity of the United Nations Security Council resolutions. But India has been claiming that no, Kashmir is the integral part. Under this Article 370, it's a very delicate link between Kashmir and India. So in other words, India can enact any law in India, but it is not applicable under Article 370 in Kashmir unless it is ratified by the Kashmir Parliament, by the Assembly of the Kashmir. So even if they are going to impose the emergency, which happens most of the time in most of the countries, so it is not applicable in Kashmir. It is applicable everywhere in India except Kashmir unless it is going to be ratified by the Kashmir Parliament. And Article 35A is very important because under Article 35A, by the way, it is not applicable only in Indian occupied Kashmir. It is also applicable in Azad Kashmir, which is under Pakistan. No non-Kashmiri, whether he is a Pakistani or Indian, he cannot purchase a land in Kashmir. So there are special quotas or special services, you can say, they are applicable only to the people of Kashmir. Yes, they abrogated this Article 370 and they abrogated Article 35A. This was the first time they did it. They did it in 1957. In 1957, we had the Constituent Assembly of Kashmir. As you might have known that there was a temporary accession of Kashmir with India that was subject to the reference of the people of Kashmir. But there was an accession which was done by the Maharaja. But what they did in 1957, this Kashmir Parliament or Kashmir Assembly, they said, no, this accession of Kashmir to India, it is permanent. The Security Council adopted two resolutions, resolution number 91 and resolution number 122. And it was passed by Security Council. And there was not a single vote against it. The only vote which was abstention, that was Soviet Union. So according to this resolution, which is resolution number 122, adopted on March 30th of 1957, it said that any change the Assembly of Kashmir is going to make of any part of Kashmir, it is not going to be the substitute for the referendum in Kashmir. So what I am saying by that is, even if yes, abrogation of Article 370 and Article 35A, according to the legitimacy of the Security Council, according to Article 122, which has been unanimously adopted, so the nature of the dispute of Kashmir, it is not going to be, it is not going to change. Only day before yesterday, so the Secretary General of the United Nations, he was asked, so what is your position on this abrogation of Article 370? He said, our position has not changed. And what is the position of the United Nations? That Kashmir is neither the integral part of India or Pakistan, is a disputed territory, and the future of Kashmir has to be decided by the people of Kashmir.
So to me, this sounds very similar to what's happening in Israel about taking land and coming in, because what you're saying now, basically now Hindus can come in and purchase lands without any authorization or any permission or anything. They can just take lands. That's what I'm understanding. Is that correct?
This is very important, because when United Nations Security Council passed resolution, by the way, there are 21 resolutions of the United Nations on Kashmir, 21. Right. There were only 19 on the Iraq. According to these resolutions, the person who is the state subject of Kashmir, he is the only one who can participate in the referendum which is going to decide the future of Kashmir. By abolishing 370, by abolishing 35A, that means that all those landlords of Bombay and whatnot, they are going to be able to purchase the land. Right. By purchasing the land, they are going to reside there. By residing there, they are going to then ask for the voting rights. So they want to really change the demographic nature of this. But what is really important, because we are here in America, we are really honored that a person no less important than the President of the United States, President Trump, he offered mediation not once, not twice. He offered mediation 3 times. Why? Because according to him, because this Kashmir is a hot tinderbox of Kashmir. What I am saying that, I don't know whether you know it or not, only today, the Pakistani government in the parliament, unanimously they adopted that they have to call off the ambassador from India, and they have to have all the cut off the trade. What I am saying, the tension between India and Pakistan is going to be on the increase, and it is not in the interest of United States. It is not in the interest of world powers. I am telling you, because I know nothing, but I am telling you that before the end of the day, the whole world community is going to be concerned. And unfortunately, this is not the first time they have been concerned. But their only concern is that they want to diffuse the tension between India and Pakistan, which they are going to do. But what we are really urging to them, we are urging to them this tension is going to be decreased, and it is going to increase again. You have to see what is the bone of contention of these tensions, which is nothing but the issue of Kashmir. Unless you are going to address that issue, unless you are going to resolve that issue to the satisfaction of all the 3 parties, India and Pakistan. The reason I am saying it to the satisfaction of all the 3 parties, who is going to say what is the satisfaction of 3 parties? That's why we need the mediator. That's why we need the mediation. That's why a person no less important, President Trump, when he said that I offer the mediation, the whole nation of Kashmir, they accepted that and they welcomed that offer.
Okay. So far, what has been the reaction of the international community with what's going on right now?
So, as far as there has been condemnation by the President of Turkey, Prime Minister Imran Khan has talked to Prime Minister of Malaysia, and he has expressed his solidarity with the Kashmiri people. China has issued a statement, and they have condemned this act of India. And there have been demonstrations in Bangladesh. There have been demonstrations even in India itself, where there are some people telling that what they have done is undemocratic, it's against the Constitution. Right. And that is, we have to educate the international community about what is going on and what Dr. Fai just said, what is the reality of the situation. And so condemnation are coming from the other sides. And as the word goes around, we expect international community, Organization of Islamic Countries has condemned this act of India, and they said this should be reversed, and so on and so forth.
Let me tell you that so world community is important, America is important. But to be honest to God, what is more important is the Indian public square. You know, I won't believe it. I was really watching the debate in the Indian Parliament. I'm not talking about the streets of New Delhi, which is the capital of India. Indian Parliament. There are no less than 50 members of Congress, 50 members of the Indian Parliament. So they said not only that this is wrong, they say it is very dangerous and we are going to move to the Supreme Court. So what I am saying that yes, as Dr. Imtiaz said, that world community is concerned, but what is more important that within the Indian Parliament, there are 2 members of Indian member of Parliament. They burn the Constitution of India. They say no, this is not what India is all about. And Chandan Baram, who is one of the most genius, he is the Oxford graduate. He has been the Minister of Finance. He has been the Minister of Home Affairs of Dr. Manmohan Singh. He was speaking right in front of the Indian Parliament and with all the leadership of Indian National Congress. He said, I'm sorry to say, I don't want to say it, but let me tell you that by abrogating the Article 370 and 35A, I forecast the beginning of the disintegration of India. I am telling you, I will be the last person to see the disintegration of India. But India has to understand that Kashmir is not India. For that matter, the Prime Minister of Pakistan has to understand Kashmir is not Pakistan. Yes, Kashmir can be Pakistan. Yes, Kashmir can be India. Yes, Kashmir can be independent. Yes, Kashmir can be anything. Who is going to decide it? Not India, not Pakistan. Yeah, they are the very important party to the dispute. But both India and Pakistan, they have to talk to Kashmiri leadership. And many people may ask you, who is the Kashmiri leadership? They invited the Kashmiri leadership to talk to Dr. Manmohan Singh, who was the Prime Minister of India. The Bajpayee, according to Modi says Bajpayee is my mentor. By the way, he passed away a few months back. Bajpayee was also Prime Minister. He invited the leadership of all parties Hurriyat Council to talk to him. And his Deputy Prime Minister, L.K. Advani. So if anyone is going to say who is going to represent the people of Kashmir, and I will tell you without any hesitation, that from the history of Kashmir for the last 22 years, it is none other than all parties Hurriyat Council. And why I am saying so? Yes, it is in Indian occupied Kashmir. All the leadership of Azad Kashmir, all the leadership, irrespective of their political orientation, they have made public statement that whenever the need of participation of the Kashmiri leadership is going to be there, we endorse the leadership of all parties Hurriyat Council.
Okay. So here in the U.S., so what are the Kashmiri American organizations planning to do here in the U.S.?
So we are active in the social media. We are contacting social media so that the word spreads around. We are contacting the Muslim leadership in America. We are meeting with the ambassadors of various countries to put the pressure on their governments so that raise this issue in the United Nations. And we are basically trying to educate the people of common man in America to know what kind of atrocities India is inflicted on innocent Kashmiris. As you know, we have right now, we are very much concerned. Everybody who is among the Kashmiri diaspora has the family back home, and they don't know how they are doing. The reports are not coming in. The Kashmir is caged. It is with the barbed wire. People cannot move. People cannot communicate with each other. So basically, we are spreading the word, and we are taking the help of various organizations, various human rights activists, so that the word spreads around, so that the pressure can be put on India to revoke the decision.
And let me tell you, it's not only the Kashmiri American, which is very important, because America is very important. Before coming over here, we were in the car, we got a call from South Africa, not a Kashmiri. We got a call from Jeddah, from Saudi Arabia. We got a call from Norway, and they are not Kashmiris. So what I am saying that this is the concern of international community. Yesterday, New York Times, which is the most important newspaper of the world, they said that this abrogation of Article 37, the words of New York Times, it is not only wrong, it is most dangerous step India has taken. Why? Because the whole world knows there is a nuclear dimension. Kashmir is the only country in the world which shares borders with 3 nuclear powers of the world. No other country, no other nation, India, Pakistan, and China. And everybody knows that, God forbid, what Pakistan has done today, so it is not a good step. But unfortunately, Pakistan is under compulsion. Pakistan has no other choice but to do that because Pakistan has to convince the public opinion of Pakistan. And Pakistan has to also be the true representative of the sentiments of the people of Kashmir. So that's why it's a very dangerous situation. And I will tell you, Amnesty International has condemned him. Amnesty International is one of the most neutral, impartial NGO in the world. When Amnesty International, I have seen it myself. When Amnesty International speaks in the United Nations Human Rights Council, the whole world listens. And they are so impartial, they also sometimes take the note of what is going on in the United States. They have condemned it, Human Rights Watch has condemned it, and all the major newspapers of the world. Independent London, Daily Guardian London, Washington Post yesterday, this Los Angeles Times. So what I am saying that they have really given us a kind of strength that we are saying that Kashmir is the most dangerous place. It is not only wrong, it is not dangerous. So I am not saying that Dr. Imtiaz Khan is saying, but I am saying that New York Times is saying. And what is really important, when New York Times writes something, whether they like it or not, the State Department takes a note of that. The National Security Council, they take the note of that. And more important, our presidential candidates, they take the note of that because I am sure that such a question is going to be posed to them in September. Because it's not a matter of Kashmir. It's not a matter of India being the so-called largest democracy. It's not a matter of because Pakistani Prime Minister, he was here. Because they know, Bill Clinton, as a president, he said that Kashmir is the most dangerous place on earth. And this James Woolsey, who once was the chief of CIA, he said long ago on CNN that I don't see a nuclear war happening between North and South Korea. I see it happening between India and Pakistan because of the issue of Kashmir. So that's why it is a concern of not only of Kashmiri Americans. How many Kashmiri Americans are there? 22 million? I mean, the Kashmiri is 22 million, but it is 1.5 billion people of South Asia. 1.5 billion people of South Asia, India and Pakistan, which is 1/5 of total humanity, and it is a genuine concern of everybody that they have to not only diffuse the tension, but they have to find a solution. And our solution, which was submitted by our leadership, they say let there be a tripartite dialogue, India, Pakistan, and the people of Kashmir. This is Sayyid Ali Gilani, Mirwais Umar Farooq, Muhammad Yasir Malik. This is our leadership. They said whatever, see the flexibility of the leadership, the thinking of the leadership. They said whatever the outcome of the negotiation, whatever the outcome, as long as we are the part of the negotiation, we will accept that. What does that mean? That means if the outcome of the negotiation is that the majority of the people of Kashmir want India, I have no problem. They want to be the part of Pakistan, you should not have any problem. They all want to be the independent Kashmir, India, Pakistan should not have any problem. Such a flexibility of the leadership of Kashmir.
Okay. So I guess to my last question, and I think this is what everyone here is wondering in the U.S. is what can your average American Muslim community here in the U.S. do to help dissolve the situation or help with the situation?
Like, to add what Dr. Ghulam Nabi Faiz said, there is one study in the Holland, one NGO, which has said that if there is a nuclear skirmish between India and Pakistan, 2 billion people will be wiped out. So these are such a dangerous ramifications of any such exchange between India and Pakistan. What can an average, to answer your question, what can an average Muslim do? They can call their congressmen, they can call their senators, they can tell them that what is going on in Kashmir, how the human rights violation is taking of this magnitude is taking place. How can they be, oblivious to this kind of a thing? They can basically approach their mosque, have all the imams to pray for Kashmir. Eid is coming on the Eid day to pray for the people of Kashmir to take them out of this misery. And basically to talk amongst their neighbors, talk amongst the general public, and to acquaint them of the situation which is currently Kashmir is going through.
You have to sense it as a public opinion, whether it is in Washington, D.C., in America, in elsewhere. So American Muslim community, I don't need to tell them that they are the part of the Ummah. They are the part of the Ummah. Suppose I do not need to be a person from Myanmar to really speak for those oppressed people and those victims of Myanmar. You don't need to be a Myanmari for that purpose. So for that matter, you don't need to be a Kashmiri to support the Kashmir. Particularly, it's not only what happened day before yesterday on Monday. There are 2 reports of the United Nations. One issued in June of 2018, one issued on July 8 of 2019. 47 and 43 page report documenting the atrocities. But what is more important, there is another report which just came on July 28th, almost a week ago,
Right.
by the United Nations on the torture in Kashmir. So we have to take these documents. And you see, right now, there is going to be a presidential debate within a month or so. So I am sure that if we are really going to sensitize and write to these, mashallah, there are 20 presidential candidates, if we can convince one or two, and Sanders, who is the champion of the human rights, Senator Sanders, the presidential candidate, so I am sure he is going to speak for the Kashmir suffering. But only if we can really sensitize him, we can sensitize his staff. So congressmen and senators, yes, they are not there today until the end of Labor Day, but we can still beat them in their own states. So the Muslim Americans, they can play a very important role. Why we are saying that? Because they did it in the case of Bosnia, they did it in the case of Myanmar, and they did it on many other issues. So we are very hopeful, and thank God, let me tell you, we should really thank the national leadership of American Muslim leadership. They are really concerned about that. We have had already 3 meetings with them. We are going to have 1 more meeting. It is not our initiative. It is their initiative. They would really like us. How can they help? So we are trying to devise a policy, and we are trying to reach as many people as possible. As I told you that it is not a concern only of the Muslim Americans. It's a concern of every genuine person who really wants to help the humanity on the basis of human rights and human dignity.
Okay. So as you heard from both of our speakers, please call your senators, call your congressmen, and tell them that this is a very dangerous situation and that the U.S. should intervene somehow and take action, or at least try to diffuse the situation over there, so it does not lead to some sort of war, especially a nuclear war that might wipe out 2 billion people, as one of the speakers suggested. So please share this video with your friends, with your family, and please do not forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and on our YouTube page. Thank you.